people cooking. There was so much going on here all the time. And you know, when you look at a riding like ours, how hard do we really need to work to win this? Like we often joked, we could have all just gone on a vacation the day before the election was called and come back to a victory party if we wanted to. But that's not the way we roll here. We wear our hearts on our sleeve. We want to show what we believe in. And this campaign was different than a lot of others in that we actually got really extensive conversations with a lot of voters that we've never really had before. And we know that a lot of those conversations moved some people into our column that were maybe on the bubble. But either way, we're very happy to have Glenn carry the banner for us back to Ottawa. He's not going to take no for an answer. He's not going to quit till he gets things done right. And I'm very proud to support my old friend. He's an old friend of mine, Glenn Motz. Please welcome our returning MP, our incumbent. What's it like to be an incumbent, Glenn?
Thank you, Dan, and thank you everyone for being here. I want to first of all thank the voters of Medicine Hat-Cardston-Warner for the honor to serve them for another term. It's fantastic to have their trust and their support, and you can't thank them enough. I want to thank our inner circle of the campaign team, Dan and Pat Hine, and Tim and Val Seitz, and Dave Camphor, and Sue, my wife Sue, and I met way back in the spring and started planning what things were going to look like. We started meeting volunteers, and then we had dozens and dozens and dozens of volunteers throughout the course of this campaign. We had signs and phone calls and door knockers and as Dan said, people who brought food, people who came and scrutineered. And we had, today it culminated in a great team effort. I'm sure many times Pat wanted me to do things or had assigned me to things to do that I would just get out of the way. And I'm sure sometimes that's what I needed to do. But what a great effort what everybody put in. Locally, I'm very pleased. Nationally, I'm not. I'm extremely disappointed. Like all of you here are extremely disappointed. Like I told my friends in the media, I don't have a clue what it's going to take for the Canadian public to grab a brain and realize that you have a prime minister who has thumbed his nose at the rule of law, who could care less about anything but himself, who doesn't matter, we all know the scandals that have gone on, deficits and debt, and although he does not have a majority government, I'm alarmed at who he might try and form a coalition with if the numbers that we have there stay. We definitely need to work as a party on continue to advocate for the things that matter to Canadians and small C conservative Canadians. And I'm certainly committed to doing that for you and to fighting for the things that matter to Medicine Hat-Cardston-Warner. This is new territory for me as well, to come into a minority government. I don't know what that's going to be like. I know that some of the media asked about, so, how do you anticipate this looking? And how do you think you're going to make it work? Quite frankly, today I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I do know that that we won't be stopping and working for Canadians. And so there's a lot of work to be done. And I guess stay tuned on that front. I don't know. I haven't seen the numbers recently. Are we still at about 150 to 120? Somewhere's in that range. So yeah, it is disappointing on a national scale, but we brought at least 20 more MPs on our fold. I'm excited to see who they might be. I haven't been watching the polls across the country to see how they are. And I want to thank you, the base. This has been a grassroots campaign from day one. We can't do this without you. Those You know, and the other thing that I wanted to thank, and I didn't mention, is those who have supported us financially as well. Some of you have you know, supported us in all possible ways with your time and your talent and your resources, and for that we want to thank you for all of the stuff that you've done. Sue, could you just pop up here for a second, please? So this is it's always interesting to navigate this with a team, you know, and sometimes Sue hasn't felt that she has been as much of a team member as with me sometimes as she would like. That's apparently I'm a little stubborn and headstrong and do things my own way. That's what's her opinion. I don't always see that way. But Sue contributed in amazing ways. She worked the front desk every day that we were here. And the only times that she really didn't was when one of our grandchildren had a sporting event that we need to participate in, and we committed that no matter what happened in this campaign, our family matters always came first. So thank you for being by my side through this process. Thank you for Andrew and Nat and Mike and Melissa for sticking with me and Sue during this time, and for our team. Like I said, Tim and Val and Dan and Pat and Dave Camphor have been just incredible team members through this process, and I wanted to thank you directly for them. Now, there's some, everything got refreshed for the food. So Ted, you can go back and have another plate or two for me, please. Please enjoy the evening. Thank you so much, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for being part of this success. We share this with you. This is not about me. It's never been about me. And so I want to ensure that going forward, I want to represent you as best I can. Thank you.
That is MP Glenn Motz returning to Parliament once again as he has been re-elected for his second term in the riding of Medicine Hat-Cardston-Warner. For full election results and details, stay here at chatnewstoday.ca. Welcome back to Chat TV News' federal election coverage, and we're joined by Mayor of Medicine Hat, Ted Clugston. And Ted, another term for Glenn Motz, the MP for Medicine Hat-Cardston-Warner, I should say. And just thoughts about Glenn getting re-elected here.
You know, this I think was a tough campaign in some ways for Medicine Hat, in that I think everybody knew that Glenn had this one, and it was almost, you know, it was hard to get motivated and excited, you know, because I think everybody knew. But you look at this team, like they went out and they door knocked and they still put up signs, and Glenn was actually working every day because he didn't take it for granted, and he went out and he worked harder as the front runner than the other three candidates combined. I never saw the other three, to tell you the truth, at any events or out that didn't come to my door or anything. So kudos to Glenn. You know, and I've now worked with Glenn as obviously when he was a police officer, when I was in city council, but now as an MP. I could pick up my phone right now and I could call Glenn at any time of the day. As a mayor of Medicine Hat, I could call him at 2 a.m. down in Ottawa, and he will take my call, and he cares about Medicine Hat. Obviously, he polices this community, cares about Medicine Hat, and you know, I'm proud of what he's accomplished. His numbers have gone up in the polls. It's fantastic.
With the projected Liberal minority governments and coalition talks aside, with the minority governments now and no majority, how do you believe that will affect funding and those type of things for municipalities?
Yeah, funding for municipalities is a tough one. Minority governments are unstable. Usually in 18 months you might be going to the polls again. Coalitions, I don't know what's going to happen. They got to, as minorities go, this is a very strong minority. It looks like it's borderline majority. So we'll see. The Liberal government has promised infrastructure money in the past for municipalities, but unfortunately it never made its way to Alberta because the previous NDP government actually stole it, absconded with it, and kept it for themselves rather than passing it on to municipalities. So hopefully those things have changed. So that actually, I don't have a problem with the Liberals on that one. I have a problem with our previous NDP government. But we'll see. I mean, Justin Trudeau's shown that he doesn't care about deficits and he doesn't care about spending or even balancing the budget, even though he's promised to. So maybe there will be more money coming this way for municipalities, but in the long term, that's terrible for everybody.
And for this year in particular, we've had a provincial and federal election within a span of about 6 months of each other. Now that you know who the MPs and MLAs and the presiding powers and governments are, what does that do for the city of Medicine Hat, having that framework?
Well, everybody likes stable and predictable, right? So we know that the UCP government in Alberta, that's stable. That'll be here for 4 years. But of course, they're on austerity measures, so they'll probably be cutting back, which I support. I mean, you can't spend money that you don't have. And so as a municipality from the provincial government, we do expect MSI grants to decrease and some of the capital grants to decrease. That's a given. But I don't know, with a minority government on the federal, we could be going to the polls again any day.
All right. Well, that is Medicine Hat Mayor Ted Clugston. For all the latest election details, please stay here at chatnewstoday.ca.